What's going on, YouTube? What's going on? It's a beautiful morning, man. Beautiful morning. What we got last night was a classic. Even more than a classic. I've called fights classics before. I did a video discussing some of the best fights we saw in the last decade. All right? At the end of the year, going into 2020, going into a new decade, I did a whole video discussing some of the greatest fights that we saw in the past 10 years. And then we get this fight. Remember how good Andre Berto versus Victor Ortiz 1 was? Remember how much action, back and forth knockdowns we got? You know, Berto getting dropped, Ortiz getting dropped, them trading knockdowns in one round. Imagine what we got in that 6th round of that fight, but getting that in almost every round of this fight. All right. Then to top it off, you get knockout of the year. And I know much hasn't happened this year, but I mean, you can throw that knockout in there with any other great knockdown or knockout that we see. Okay? Imagine getting what we saw with Sergio Mora and Daniel Jacobs. That first round. The drama we saw in that round. We getting at for several rounds of just back and forth knockdowns. And then topping it off again with one of the best knockouts we've seen. Crazy. What I need everybody to do is go to your favorite YouTube channel. And if they haven't made a video about this, drown their comments about this fight. If they haven't made any videos talking about it, the boxing community needs awareness of this fight. There's no way we can just let this fight just slip between the cracks and people don't see it. Everybody needs to see this fight. This fight was a classic. I mean, I think Inoue and Donaire was like my favorite fight last year. You gotta see this fight. I mean, it's not a long fight, but for what we got in that small period of time was a lot. We got a lot in 5 rounds. That was a gift from the gods. Like, that fight was insane last night. I'm very, very, disappointed that I wasn't able to do live commentary on a fight. I did speak about it briefly in the live chat that I did the day before. I wanted to speak on it, but I couldn't do live commentary on it. Unfortunately, I wasn't home. But I did watch the fight a couple times. And Jose Zepeda, I hope to see him get a title shot again really soon. You know, I would love seeing him rematch Jose Ramirez because that first fight was already debatable. You know, I would love to see him fight Josh Taylor. I would love to see him fight one of the best at 140, you know. I mean, whoever is out there, I mean, he's earned my full respect, you know, because I thought Baranchyk was just going to be a little too powerful for him. And Baranchyk got off. He got off. But there's a key difference between Zepeda's knockdowns and Baranchyk's knockdowns. Zepeda never actually looked hurt to me. Not one. And those 3 knockdowns, you know how many knockdowns it was, Jose never looked hurt. You know? Each time he got up, he seemed okay. He took some big shots. But he always seemed, even in that last one, the standing knockdown, the one that he flew against the ropes, he was still fighting. I'm sure he was hurt in every one of them, but Baranchyk was hurt bad by every single knockdown. Even the one that they didn't count. The first one they didn't count, and I think it was in the second round. All right, it was one where Baranchyk or Zepeda stepped around him and snuck like an uppercut and a nice little combination that had Baranchyk off balance. Baranchyk looked hurt every time he went down. That's the difference between the two. He looked hurt every single time. And then that knockout. The knockout. This guy, and I can joke about it now because I was definitely concerned when the fight was on. When the fight was on, I was like, dude, this dude is out and he's not moving. He just looks like he needs to get carried down the stretcher and he needs to go to the hospital. I was worried about Baranchyk, but once I saw that he was okay, I was like, good, he's good. He's good to go. I haven't gotten that much sleep in days. He was knocked out cold, and it looked like he was snoring. He was fully asleep. I mean, it was one of those dramatic knockouts where his leg bent back. I mean, those are always the worst ones. When you fall backwards and you just drop. It kind of almost looked like when Jamel Charlo knocked out, Erickson Lubin. You know how Lubin just felt awkward, but his arm was like up. That was a crazy knockout too. That was a big knockout that year. It was like Baranchyk just dropped at an awkward angle, and he just fell right asleep. And they let him lay there for a long period of time. But it was very scary. It was scary. It was, you wanted to make, hope he was okay. And he is okay. But I think the problem is with Baranchyk, he started off quick. All right, he was landing some bomb left hooks in the first round, opening round. He came out quick, dropped Zepeda twice in the first round. Zepeda was already down 10-7 by the end of the first round. Remind me of the early Manny Pacquiao and Marquez fights. He was down quick, and Zepeda came right back. They didn't count the first. I thought they should have counted the first of Baranchyk knockdown. I don't think they did. All right, but Zepeda came back, dropped him a couple times. And then the round where Zepeda gets dropped. This is probably the most hurt he looked throughout the fight. He gets dropped. Baranchyk is putting pressure on him, right? Coming forward, throwing bombs. And then Zepeda drops him. Just like Sergio Mora did against Daniel Jacobs. Drops him hard, right? It was just nonstop action. Please, 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 if you are a YouTuber, please watch this fight. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube or something. It was on ESPN Plus last night. Please support these guys. Let the world know. Let the world see this fight. Please, this fight was too good for people to not watch, man. You don't have to be fans of these guys. You might not know who they are. But please don't blast this fight. Go to these YouTube channels. Leave comments. Yo, make a video review about this fight. This fight was too damn good to miss. Too good. Moving forward, I know Baranchyk just took 2 big losses now. He lost to Josh Taylor in that tournament, and I believe he was dropped a couple times in that tournament. But it wasn't in a fashion that Zepeda stopped him. And now he's losing, he lost to Jose. I don't think he's done. I just think he made a mistake in not really respecting his opponent. He was just too eager to get the knockout, a quick knockout. And he's very powerful and aggressive, but once Jose woke up and adjusted, All he had to keep doing, I mean, he was the better boxer between the two going in the fight anyway. We already knew that. But all he had to do is just set the traps and counter. Step around him. You have the better feet. You know, his feet are great. You know, his pivoting skills are excellent. And he was able to just step around and counter Baranchyk. Baranchyk was left unbalanced a lot. And, you know, just stepping around his opponent and countering him, it was beautiful. It was a masterpiece. It was great boxing by Zepeda. This is how you beat an extremely aggressive guy. And I think Baranchyk just didn't respect his power. On top of that, he didn't respect his skills. He didn't respect his power. And he paid for it. And he went to sleep. And Baranchyk could bounce back. But, you know, that's a wake. I mean, hopefully he's not damaged forever, because he's a very, you know, not too long ago, I mean, sometime last year when I was covering the World Boxing Super Series, I actually made videos saying that, you know, I thought really highly of Baranchyk. And I thought that, you know, if it wasn't the laws, you know, for the fact that he had to face Josh Taylor, you know, outside of him and Regis Prograis, I can see Baranchyk beating all of these other guys at 140. And boy, was I wrong. I was wrong. You know, Baranchyk, you know, Zepeda earned my respect big time. And, you know, if there's any room to get a Jose Ramirez rematch in the future, or a possible Josh Taylor fight, I mean, he has earned it. I mean, he can box, he can punch, and he gave us a great war. He showed his toughness. I know he slowed down in the Ramirez fight that he lost. But still, I'm willing to watch him fight anyone at 140, man, right now. You know, he really earned my respect, you know, and he needs the credit, you know, and we need to pump out awareness of this fight, because this is one of the greatest fights I've seen. Like, seriously, no joke, you know. I mean, if you're talking about action and drama, you're not going to get much more than this. You can't get much more than this, you know. And in boxing, you're not going to get much more than this. Like, this is the best you can get right here. You got good boxing, you got an aggressor, you got brawls, people trading, you got knockdowns, you got a crazy knockout. You're getting it all. And the ref pretty much let them do their thing. You know, the ref wasn't even being an issue. It was great. I think the one thing and the one key thing that was missing in this fight, if I'm going to nitpick at all, is that it didn't have a live audience. If it had a live audience, it would have been even crazier, because you know whoever was in that crowd would have been going crazy. People would have been walking out of there like, yo, that was the greatest fight I've ever seen. That needed an audience. I think that was the only key thing that was missing in this fight, was the fact that it didn't have an audience, you know. But the fights like that is exactly why I love boxing, man. Please tune into the fight. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. And see you guys on the next one, man. Peace.